Do you recall, and I want to direct your attention to the date of Thursday, May the 7th, 2015. Do you recall working that day?
Yes, I do.
Would you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what, if anything, you remember about working that day?
During that day, it was a normal shift. I received a 911 call in the area of 151 Cleveland Avenue in reference to a male brandishing what was described as a machine gun. Responded to the call, arrived on scene at the call.
Okay. Excuse me. What county is that address of 151 Cleveland Avenue situated?
Fulton County.
And do you know what is located at that address? A residence, a commercial building?
It's a gas station.
Gas station. And that was in 2015. Do you still know that location to be consisting of, to be a gas station?
Yes, I do.
Is it the same gas station that it once was in 2015?
They typically change hands. They'll go from a Exxon to a BP to a Chevron. So.
All right. Around what time were you dispatched to the 151 Cleveland Avenue location on that day?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. If I showed you, did you prepare a report for anything related to this case?
Yes, I did.
If I were to show you a copy of that report, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes, it would.
Just a brief indulgence. No showing the defense. Okay. All right. I'm approaching the witness, having them shown that it's not needed. Take a moment to refresh your recollection with that, and once you have had an opportunity to do so, look back up at me and don't read from me, please. Okay, has your memory been refreshed, Officer Baker?
Yes.
Okay, around what time were you dispatched to that location of 151 Cleveland Avenue?
Approximately 2 a.m.
And what zone is Cleveland, the address that I just mentioned, situated?
At that time, it was situated in Zone 3.
Is it changed?
No, still
Okay.
Zone 3.
All right. All right. You indicated that dispatch informed you that there was a person with a machine gun. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
Okay. When you heard the terminology of machine gun, what kind of firearm did you have in mind at that time while you were being dispatched?
At the time, that would be something described as maybe a rifle or a weapon that fires in rapid succession, maybe carrying a large amount of rounds, capacity of a large amount of rounds, something to that effect.
Did dispatch provide you with an identity of the caller?
They described they gave a description of a person, and they also gave a description of a vehicle as well.
Well, that's not my question, but I'll ask you something about that. Did they provide you a description of the caller?
No, they didn't. They didn't. I believe it was an anonymous caller or unknown caller at the time.
Now, speaking to what you just stated on direct, did you have a description of the individual that was said to be holding the machine gun style firearm that you were told?
Yes, they did give. I remember they did give us a description, but I do not remember what the description was.
Would looking at your report help refresh that?
Possibly.
All right, you can please do so, and then when you had your memory refreshed, look back up at you. Okay, has your memory been refreshed?
Yes.
All right. What was the description that you were given?
Well, the description I was given was of a vehicle that was occupied by a male and a female, and there was a male inside the male with the female operating the vehicle, and the male had gone in and out of the store.
Okay. And did you in fact arrive at the location to which you were said to go to at that time?
Yes, I did.
And upon your arrival at that location of 151 Cleveland Avenue, what, if anything, did you see at that time?
When I arrived on scene, there was a male coming out of the store. He walked out of the store and got into the vehicle that was described to me in the call remarks.
Okay. Let's unpack some of what you just said. Do you recall which side of the vehicle he got into?
I believe he got into the passenger side of the vehicle.
And where was the female person that was accompanying him that you mentioned earlier?
I believe she was in the driver's side of the vehicle.
What description for the vehicle were you given?
I was a black Chevrolet Impala, I believe.
Were you given a license plate or tag number for it?
Yes, I was.
What were the tags that you were given, to your recollection?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's in my report.
Go ahead and take a moment to refresh your memory on your report. Okay, excuse me. What was the tag of the vehicle that you were given?
The license plate was PXL8880.
I'm sorry, could you say that phonetically because I couldn't hear?
Paul X-Ray Lincoln 8880.
Okay. Was it a Georgia tag?
Yes, I believe so.
Were you assigned a body cam at that time?
No.
And is it, why not?
They had not been issued to us at that time. At least in my career, I hadn't been issued a body camera.
At that time?
At that time, yeah, correct.
And did you arrive to that location alone, or were you accompanied?
I was accompanied by another officer. He sent another backup officer just in case.
And when you say a backup officer just in case, why would dispatch send a backup officer just in case?
Typically, when there's a call involving a person with a firearm, an armed person, they want to send a second or maybe even a third officer, just because, just for our safety and the public safety in general. It's kind of believed by us that if you have more than one officer, maybe two or three, then a less amount of force has to be used. And that way we can de-escalate situations better when there's more of us there.
All right. So when you arrived to that location, what, if anything, did you do? Did you have your lights on?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Did you have your siren activated?
Not that I recall.
All right. Did you exit the vehicle?
When I arrived on scene, I exited the vehicle. I saw the male that was described in the call remarks. I saw the vehicle that was described in the call remarks. I saw the male come out of the store, immediately walk to the vehicle. At that time, I approached the vehicle, asked the male if he could step out. He stepped out. I asked the male if he had a gun. He said no. At that point, I could look into the back seat of the car and saw a gun laying on the back seat of the car. From what I remember, I think the male immediately admitted that it was his gun. And at that point, we went ahead and detained him. And I believe the second officer there, I think he detained the female. And we just went from there.
All right. So I want to unpack a few things that you just said there.
Sure.
All right. Earlier you said he initially said he didn't have a gun.
Correct.
But then what changed after you located that firearm?
Once I located the firearm, once I saw it, he immediately admitted, "Oh, that's my gun."
Was it in plain view, or was it something that you had to look a little more intently for?
It was in plain view.
Okay. Is this the type of firearm that you saw? The firearm that you saw that day, is it the type of firearm that you can hold with one hand, or that you must use two hands in order to discharge the ammunition?
In my belief, to use a weapon like that, you would need to use both hands.
Is this a weapon that is a single firearm, or is it one that shoots its ammunition in rapid succession?
Honestly, I don't know. With that weapon, I believe that weapon's able to be shot as quickly as you squeeze the trigger.
Are rifles generally firearms that are that discharge ammunition in rapid succession?
They can be.
When you observed the firearm on the back seat, what caused you to seize it?
It was described in the call remarks as that type of weapon. Typically, when people call the police, they may not know exactly, they may not be gunsmiths necessarily or know exactly specifications of a gun, but they'll describe it as best they can. It's a weapon that someone would describe as a machine gun or something of that sort.
Is it unlawful to have a firearm?
No.
So why would you seize that firearm?
From what I can remember, and from what I can remember, it appeared to be a weapon that was illegally modified.
And when you say illegally modified, what is it that you mean by that?
Those weapons can be shortened, may not have a stock, or have a stock and not supposed to have a stock.
Are you saying stock?
Stock.
Stock.
S-T-O-C-K, stock. It's like the back part of the weapon, like a brace almost.
And did this weapon have a stock?
To be honest, I don't remember. I do remember that we made the charge on the individual because the weapon appeared to be legally modified, and the warrant was signed by the judge, and the charge was made at that night. So.
And when that weapon was seized, well, let me back up. You said that when you saw that firearm, that the persons within the vehicle were detained. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
Why did you detain him?
He was the person described in the call remarks, so he was detained for our investigation. And he was also arrested because of weed possession of the vehicle as well.
Okay. All right. When you detain someone, what does that look like in an ordinary stop for an officer?
Most times they're placed in handcuffs. Try to make it clear that they're detained and they're aware that they're detained. They're not going to jail necessarily right now. They just can't leave.
And in this instance were the occupants of that vehicle detained by handcuffs or by some other means?
From what I remember, I believe they were placed in handcuffs.
Were they ordered out of the vehicle?
I believe they were asked to step out of the vehicle and they complied and placed them in handcuffs for the detention.
And about how long did that detention last?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Were you able at any point to obtain names or identities for the persons that were detained at that time?
I'm sure we obtained the name of the detainee, the male detainee.
And what name did you obtain?
I believe it was Quindarius Zachary.
And were you given a name for the female occupant of the vehicle?
I don't remember. Don't recall.
Would that be contained within your report?
Possibly.
Okay. Would you take a moment to refresh?
Sure.
Has your memory been refreshed?
Yes.
Okay. What do you remember at this point?
I believe the female detainee was named Summer.
Okay. Did you get a last name for it?
No, I did not.
Okay. Was she taken into custody, full custody after being detained?
I don't believe so.
And why not?
I believe she was released. She didn't have any. There weren't any appropriate charges for her to be placed on.
Do you know to whom that vehicle belonged?
I don't know.
Okay. When you arrived to the location of 151 Cleveland Avenue, did you observe the occupants of the vehicle doing anything?
When I first arrived, the male got into the vehicle. I do remember we noticed each other. We looked at each other, and he got into the vehicle, and he started to kind of shuffle around the vehicle. Him and the female that were inside the vehicle. So there was a little bit of movement inside the car.
Okay. Now, when you say you looked at each other, can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what his demeanor was?
From what I remember, he came out of the store, took a quick glance at me, and he hurried into the vehicle.
Did he appear nervous?
He appeared in a rush. I could say that.
And in your training and experience, what do you understand quick movements before you make a stop to signify?
Well, in some cases, when people see the police, they may shuffle around a little bit, or maybe try to conceal something in the car, or make furtive movements to kind of put something away, or tuck something, or hide something. So it's not always the case, but you're aware of it going into situations.
Were there any other people in the area while this investigation and detention was taking place?
I don't remember.
Did you get specifications for what the type of firearm it was, the brand or the make?
I believe it was a Bushmaster Carbon 15 .223 caliber.
And when you say .223 caliber, what do you mean?
It's just a caliber of round that the weapon shoots.
And is it fair to say that when you say round, you're talking about ammunition?
Yes.
Earlier, you testified that the firearm appeared to be shortened. In your training and experience, what does the shortening of a firearm allow for a person to do with it?
To be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I know it's in state of Georgia code, it's illegal.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
And with respect to the length of that firearm, did you later come to detail or learn the specifications of that firearm?
It appeared to be approximately, the barrel itself appeared to be about seven inches, I believe. I'd need to look at the report again to remember something like that.
Take a moment and
Okay.
look back up when you're done. Okay. Has your memory been refreshed?
Yes.
All right. What? You can answer the question.
So the barrel length was approximately 7 inches, and the entire weapon was approximately 20 inches in length.
Was the firearm loaded?
Yes, it was.
All right. Was it? Was there anything in the chamber?
There was a round ready to fire in the chamber, yes.
Was there any magazines or clips connected to it?
Yeah, there was a double feed magazine attached to it.
Are you familiar with the terminology banana clip?
Yes.
And when you hear that terminology, is that formal usage for a magazine or street language?
That's just informal lingo.
And if you were to hear the term banana clip, what would you understand that to be?
I would understand it to be a longer magazine in the shape of a banana that is typically like a attached to a weapon or a rifle, something like a rifle. Yeah.
And were the magazines that were connected to this particular firearm in the form or shape of a banana, as you stated?
From what I remember, I think so.
And you stated that it was a double magazine. What do you mean by that?
It's a double feed. It's just a type of magazine. So I think both the rounds kind of appear at the top of the magazine, kind of like this.
Does that increase the capacity that can be fed into that magazine? To the firearm, excuse me?
No, only one round could go in at a time. I just believe it increases the capacity of the magazine so you can hold more rounds.
Do you know about how much, how many live rounds can be held in a magazine?
No.
Okay. Is it normal for a rifle of this type or any type to have a double magazine, as you described?
A double feed magazine?
A double feed, excuse me.
It's not abnormal. It's not abnormal.
Earlier, you stated that the firearm was the assault-style rifle was found on the back seat. Was it on a particular side of the vehicle?
I believe it was on the passenger side of the car.
And is that the side that Mr. Quindarius Zachary was located?
From what I remember, yes.
Did you ever conduct a complete search of the vehicle after observing the modified firearm?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Earlier, you stated that there was marijuana found inside the vehicle. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
Right. Do you recall where it was located inside the vehicle?
I do not remember.
Do you think you may have included that in your report?
I can check. I'm not sure.
Sure. Okay. Has your memory been refreshed?
Yes.
All right. You may answer the question.
There was marijuana found inside the vehicle on the driver's seat side.
Okay. And did Mr. Zachary also take claim possession of that?
Sustained.
All right. What, if anything, was done with the marijuana after it was located?
I believe it was turned into property as evidence.
What about the firearm?
I believe that the firearm was also submitted to the Atlanta City Property Annex as evidence.
How much marijuana was found?
I believe it was 0.3 grams of marijuana.
Did you charge Mr. Zachary with the marijuana?
From what I remember, yes.
Earlier you stated that you got the identity of the female passenger. Does the name Summer Good ring a bell for you?
To be honest, not really, no.
Just a few more questions for you. Were any photos taken of this particular crime scene?
Not that I remember.
And was there any reason in your mind at that time to notify the gang unit?
Not that I remember. No, not that I remember.
Right. Do you know if the gang unit ever got the file for this particular arrest?
I do not know.
Did Detective Gaither get your file from this case, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you know Quindarius Zachary before this arrest took place on this particular day?
Not to my recollection.
Did you know Summer Good?
No.
Do you know if there was a relationship between Quindarius Zachary and Summer?
No.
Do you remember what Quindarius Zachary looked like at that time?
No, I don't.
Was he tall or short?
I honestly don't remember.
Would you remember his face if you were to see him again?
Possibly.
Would you recognize the firearm that was seized that evening if you were to see it again?
Possibly, maybe. It was a long time ago.
What with respect to the incident number associated with this case, do you know what that incident number is?
Off the top of my head?
Yes, what is the incident number associated?
You want me to read it off of the?
After you refresh your recollection?
Sure. Okay.
Okay, what is it?
151270278.
Are you familiar with the Julian date?
In terms of what exactly?
Incident numbers.
127, yeah, it's the middle number.
How are the police incident numbers structured?
So the first two numbers of the year, the middle three numbers are the day of the year, and the last four numbers are the report or the incident number itself.
And
from that day, sorry about that.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
The last four numbers are the incident number from that day, from that 24-hour period.
So the last four pertain to the amount of calls that have come in, is that fair?
Correct, yeah.
Do officers typically supplement reports if new information comes about at a later time?
Yes.
All right. Just a brief indulgence, Your Honor. Are you aware if Detective Lakia Gaither did any additional supplements to your report from this incident?
I would not have been made aware.
Is it typical for the officer to be made aware that supplements have been made to a report they may have made for a separate incident?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And if there were a supplement made to a report by another officer, say you in this instance, would that supplement reflect the same incident number as the one that you received for the arrest that you made?
There would be there might be
Let me rephrase the question.
Go ahead.
If a supplement was made to a report by another officer to a report that you made, would that supplemental report contain the same digits as yours?
Yes, it would.
Okay. Would there be an extension of digits to that report to indicate it as a supplement?
Typically, yes.
Just a brief moment, Your Honor. I am now going to approach the witness with first show it to the defense, if required. A copy of State's Exhibit 2000, Julian. Juliet. Okay, that's fine. Now approaching the witness. Now approaching you with what has been identified as State's Exhibit 2000 Juliet. When you had a chance to look at that exhibit and pass over it with your eyes a good little while, look back up at me and I'll ask you a few more questions. Do you recognize what is depicted in State's Exhibit 2000 Juliet?
No.
All right. I am now going to approach the witness with State's Exhibits 2001 Juliet and 2002 Juliet. And when you have had a moment to look at State's 2001 Juliet and State's Exhibit 2002 Juliet, please look back up at me and I'll ask you a few additional questions. Excuse me. In State's Exhibits 2001 and 2002 Juliet, do those look like the firearm that you recovered on the day that you arrested Mr. Quindarius Zachary?
Possibly.
All right. And do those images reflect the specifications that you said that firearm had at that time?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And at this time, does it appear that any changes had been made to those firearms from the time that you recovered it from the backseat of the vehicle that you approached on that day?
No.
Right. Your Honor, at this time, the state now moves to admit State's Exhibits 2001 and 2002 into evidence. 2001, 2002 Juliet into evidence at this time.
All right, those are admitted without objection.
Okay. Right. Officer Baker, did that thereabout conclude your involvement with this particular case?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, the state has no further questions.
All right.